All right. All right. So we in here. We in here. Let me know if you can see me. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm saying that because I know at some point I can hear myself. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. So welcome back. Welcome back to What She Said Sports. Let's ride. Okay. So y'all know Shedeur Sanders is on a bye week. Excellent. Couldn't have come at a perfect time. I feel like the young man needs a break from, being rejected every day, right? I actually saw a post that was complaining about Shedeur at practice skipping up the field. So somebody said he was dancing. I'm like, skipping, dancing, does it matter? Because nobody complains that Travis Hunter actually does full on TikToks on the field, whether it's pregame or whether it's at practice. I guess they're accepting of it with Travis, but Shedeur is in an environment where he's being condemned for essentially breathing. I also said something else today, where Kevin Stefanski was concerned because his press conference today is what I describe as a pre-FUBAR. Do you know what FUBAR is? FUBAR. Pre-FUBAR alarm, warning, if you will. Kevin Stefanski's press conference today, he was asked, I think, by a reporter, possibly Mary Cabot, if he was considering changing to Shedeur, or maybe he should change to Shedeur because things aren't going well. And he said, he's worried about where they are. That's not my focus, concern, worry, etc. The key word being that. When you're asked about a human being and you use the word that to respond about a person, fans have already called it out. He can't say Shedeur's name. I've said it before the Rams game. He said he was going to put Shedeur down, and then Shedeur gets sacked 5 times in the Rams game, which people said they could see him basically trying not to laugh. But if you go back and watch that post-game press conference, when he's asked about Shedeur, again, he also tries to laugh, especially when they ask him about why he took Shedeur out of the game for the 2-minute snap. He want to give Snoop an opportunity, and he cut Snoop before lunch the next day, right? So Well Off Media posted something that basically speaks to what I said on X, and I had no problem with saying it. I said, Kevin Stefanski is once again dehumanizing Shedeur, right? We're going to have to put him down before the Rams game, and he gets sacked 5 times. And now we're at the point to where he'd rather lose than put in Shedeur. Now, Dillon Gabriel has a 25 QBR rating, which ranks 32nd out of 32 NFL quarterbacks. Dead last. Do not forget, Haslam said he hasn't seen enough from Dillon. Dillon has a 25 QBR rating. QBR ratings go into triple digits. You can't get no lower than that. And it probably wasn't much better the week before. So Haslam is a part of this problem, right? And it seems to me that Haslam and Kevin Stefanski would rather die than be administered CPR by Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, that's how I feel. Kevin Stefanski more so because he's taking pleasure in it while Haslam hides behind Dillon. And I checked. Shedeur doesn't have a single stat in the regular season. And people ask if he's going to be traded away as what? QB3, a 5th round QB? He has no stats. He had stats coming into the league and they ignored them. Now he has 0 stats. He has shown, they have not allowed him to show anything that could warrant Shedeur being traded where he currently is at QB2 or better. He has shown nothing. All we've seen is that Shedeur has a coach that I say has a problem with Black NFL players being quarterbacks because we have standards for that position. We have standards for that position high standards. And it seems that Shedeur doesn't meet those standards, according to Kevin Stefanski, in the way he's dismissive of Shedeur. He's blatantly dismissive of Shedeur by saying that can't say his name, won't say his name, refuses to say his name, refuses to answer a question that he's directly asked about Shedeur, and refers to him as that after he said we're going to have to put him down. When you look up, what does it look like when someone is dehumanizing another? Being dismissive of that person is at the top of the list. Referring to that person as an animal is at the top of the list. We're going to have to put him down. When I say this is a pre-FUBAR alarm, I'm right. What did Bucky post about an hour or two ago? Bucky posted a video of a man at a gym. The face looked like Stefanski. It could be AI, or it just could be one of his doppelgangers. And the man was saying, and I'm going to play it. They were saying, the caption is, this is how Stefanski feels rather than playing Shedeur. In other words, he'd rather die. That's exactly what the guy said. I'd rather die. And what did I say on X before I even saw Bucky's post? Stefanski would rather die than get CPR from Shedeur. We already know they'd rather lose. It said that the Browns had low expectations coming into the season. Why? You got Shedeur Sanders. You pre-draft with Shedeur Sanders at number 2. So when did you get low expectations? Was it when you pre-draft with him as your franchise QB? Or was it when you got him at a deep discount? The fact that they're saving him for the last 4 games in the dead of possibly what's winter in Cleveland, where it's howling cold, and Stefanski has not been fired, tells you that they might set him up to fail. He has 0 stats. And they're approaching the end of the week, and they were going to pay this man $46 million. There's nothing documented and factualized that Shedeur Sanders did anything to deserve being pushed from round 1, taken off the draft board, locked out of the first round, pushed down to 144. Matter of fact, I asked AI about when a first round projected QB is pushed to the 5th round. It said there's such a glaring difference between a first round QB and a 5th round QB that's unheard of. But here it is. I also asked about what is it that a 5th round QB does? It said a 5th round QB is considered a long-term project where you bring them along slowly. Was Shedeur not thrown into a QB competition and ignored after he won it 3 times, much like he's blatantly being ignored by Kevin Stefanski right now? When it comes to, hey, why don't you think maybe you want to switch to Shedeur? Oh, that. Shedeur Sanders is being once again dehumanized by Kevin Stefanski. This is a problem. So much so that Bucky will put out a video of someone screaming, I would rather die, as it refers to the caption of this is Kevin Stefanski rather than playing Shedeur. He'd rather die. See, we have a problem here. I don't give a damn who you like personally. And I really don't care if Haslam has seen enough from Dylan or not. With a 25 QBR rating, you've seen enough. You just want to close your eyes. And it points back to Haslam that the NFL that took Shedeur off the board, the owners don't want Shedeur Sanders to play, which is why he has 0 stats and no one asking about him. So they intend to kill his career. Whole nother conversation. But let's talk about, pull up a chair about the conversation about a white head coach dehumanizing a black quarterback on an NFL team, because that's the topic of conversation. And the fact that Bucky put it out there, I spoke to it. People are saying this man just can't stand Shedeur. Let's just call it what it is. People are pointing out that Dan Lanning and Stefanski have the same professional agent. I don't give a damn if they friends. There is no justifiable reason to dehumanize Shedeur Sanders because you friends with Dan Lanning. And if Haslam lets you tank his team to do a favor to your friend Dan Lanning, that's between them. Trade Shedeur Sanders. But the problem I have is watching a white head coach in the NFL who's inefficient, ineffective, sub 500, not good at his job, a bullshit artist, consistently and blatantly dehumanize a black quarterback and allowed to do so. That's the problem. I don't give a damn if Haslam can't see and he need to see more from Dylan. I don't give a damn. Trade Shedeur Sanders. I don't give a damn. If Stefanski and Dan Lanning bumping uglies, I don't give a damn. Give a damn. What I give a damn about? What I give a damn about is watching a promising black quarterback being referred to as an animal, dehumanized, refers to as that, dismissed, consistently ignored, discriminated against, dehumanized, like he 3/5 of a goddamn human being. This is 2025. Now, y'all want to go and y'all want to get into it? We're going to get into it about this. Because this is what's happening. Shedeur Sanders is a full 100% human being with two black parents. And if Kevin Stefanski can't respect it, he need to get the hell out. And he should be forced to do so. Because if anybody should be in front of Congress, it's him. A gambling scandal in the NBA ain't got shit on this. And I keep saying this. The way things are today, they will not be tomorrow. I said that, and the NBA got a whole damn gambling scandal that's rocking it to the core. And now it's creeping on its way to the NFL. But a gambling scandal don't have nothing on blatant racism by a white head coach that he's allowed to abuse a young black man that he openly on camera dehumanizes and refers to him as an animal and insists that he's not worthy. This has nothing to do with Dan Lanning's friendship. Stefanski, this is everything. This has everything to do with Jim Crow, the civil rights movement, racism 101, the emancipation of racism, the damn U.S. Constitution. I don't give a damn if they're friends. That's on Haslam. But to allow Shedeur to be publicly abused this way is right out of a goddamn scene from the movie Roots. And we ain't having it, bro. And it's people all over X standing all over, climbing all over Kevin Stefanski, as they should. And I asked the question today. Based on what you have seen thus far, Shedeur Sanders is expected to play the final 4 games of the Browns season. And based on what you've seen through week 8, do you trust Kevin Stefanski to design a game plan on the up and up for Shedeur Sanders, an elite QB1, that skill set, with the goal of winning? So Shedeur got to play in 4 games. And he also got a head coach that seems like he would rather die than get CPS or what is it? CPR, excuse me, CPR, that too. CPR from Shedeur Sanders, that he would rather die, that he's fine with losing the season. That part is on Haslam. But the game plan part, can you trust? From what you have seen, from what you have heard, from what you have witnessed of the inhumane treatment at the hands of Kevin Stefanski towards Shedeur Sanders, the damn abuse, emotional, physical. We're going to have to put him down, dehumanizing him like he's a damn animal. And then Shedeur gets sacked 5 times. There is no allegiance so strong, not even an intimate relationship between what could be Dan Lanning and damn Kevin Stefanski that would make Kevin Stefanski dehumanize Shedeur Sanders. The only thing that would make a white head coach dehumanize a black quarterback in a league that has long held back black quarterbacks from the starting position, it is trying to make sure it don't get to 17-32. It's racism. So as you can see here, 4 hours ago, I put this out here, 4.5. I already got 73 votes. I don't need 73,000. I just need a sample size of objective people. This is what I got. No, we don't trust Stefanski to call plays for Shedeur. I have said it multiple times. I said either Shedeur got to be traded or Kevin Stefanski got to go. And I don't give a damn about Haslam trotting his little self out there, pulling up his britches, talking about you haven't seen nothing from Dylan. I don't give a damn what you think about Dylan. Stefanski still got to go. Unless you are fine with operating a hostile work environment that is rife with racism, something that John Flores talks about in his lawsuit. And then we could talk about the potential for intimidation of players to isolate Shedeur Sanders, which is abuse. And then we could talk about the potential for retaliation of the players that gravitated toward Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, including Myles Garrett and Tony Brown, that was dismissed. We could talk about all of that. Because this is racism and we're not moving from it. I'm not going to sit up here and watch this young man be discriminated against and ostracized and ignored any damn more. I have said somebody needs to do something. I'm not kidding when I said we are pre-FUBAR. This is 10 times worse than a mafia-backed gambling scandal. Because guess what? You can fire Chauncey Billups. I don't even think Damon Jones worked there no more. And you can fire Terry Rozier after you pay him his $26 million guaranteed. Because you knew about it anyway. But as long as Kevin Stefanski worked in the goddamn Cleveland Browns organization or own the goddamn property, Shedeur is not safe. It's a hostile work environment for Shedeur Sanders. And you can't trade Shedeur Sanders with 0 stats. That's malpractice. So there's nowhere to hide. It's time for the Browns to start doing right and treating Shedeur like he's a goddamn human being with respect. And the QB1 they were prepared to pay him $46 million for, and stop acting like you don't know who he is, and stop allowing Kevin Stefanski to treat him like this is 1865. I don't want to hear shit about a friendship because this ain't about that. Yeah, that might be why he's reluctant to bench Dan Lanning's boy. But that has nothing to do with why Kevin Stefanski is allowed to dehumanize Shedeur Sanders. And personally, I think the voices are so loud since the Browns seemingly have decided to back themselves into a corner by not playing Shedeur. And he has 0 stats, and you can't trade him with 0 stats. So that means he's stuck there. Then they're going to try to get Kevin Stefanski to call some plays. I'd be down. I'll talk about this 24/7, 365 before them 4 games. But I don't have to. Because other people are now talking about it, including Bucky. Shout out to Bucky for posting the video that with somebody screaming, I would rather die. Knowing we talking about Stefanski would rather die than play Shedeur. Stand up for your brother. What you got to lose? You your own company. Stand up for your brother. You don't need the film for the NFL. Matter of fact, it ain't even a good look anyway. So, not too long ago, right before I went live, Kevin Stefanski will consider giving up play calling to Tommy Rees, among other changes and Brown's takeaways. This came out not an hour ago. And Sports Illustrated wrote about it and said, ironically, when the Browns were trashed last year, at the same week 8 point, Kevin Stefanski gave up play calling after Deshaun Watson got injured to somebody else. So Kevin Stefanski was allowed to call trash plays until Deshaun Watson got injured. Then the insurance company is paying the $46 million for Deshaun Watson. So was Deshaun Watson put in harm's way? Will Shedeur Sanders be put in harm's way? Are we having this conversation to make sure that Kevin Stefanski is off the premises and somebody need to file a restraining order against him because clearly he can't control himself when it comes to this young man being a black quarterback for the Cleveland Browns franchise? If he has that much of a problem with black quarterbacks being leaders of the team, then he need to get the hell out the NFL. So once again, at the same time period, according to Sports Illustrated, not an hour ago, it looks like he's supposed to be giving up the play calling to Tommy Rees. I don't trust none of it. I don't trust none of it. Kevin Stefanski has been allowed to get away with racially discriminating openly in a very disgusting manner against Shedeur Sanders that includes abuse. And for him to hand the headset off over is not enough. He's created a toxic culture which appears to be rife with intimidation and retaliation in an attempt to isolate this young man publicly so they can abuse him in plain sight. We already heard from one Cleveland Browns player saying he was ignored by his coach. There needs to be an investigation immediately. And Haslam, somebody else better take over and fire Kevin Stefanski immediately. Because if he the head coach and Shedeur go out there and get sacked like that, there's going to be hell to pay. When I say this is a pre-FUBAR warning, that's what this is. The voices are loud on the internet about Kevin Stefanski and his disgust towards Shedeur, unjustified. And I don't care about people out here trying to figure out if it's because he's friends with Dan Lanning. I told you, they could be married. I don't give them. That ain't got nothing to do with dehumanizing Shedeur Sanders. Nothing. And it's going on for far too long. And Huntington Bank and Bud Light need to divest from the Cleveland Browns. This is unethical. If you think the NFL and ESPN need to divest from a betting app, then I promise you, Huntington Bank and Bud Light need to divest from this unethical, in your face, blatant, dismissive, dehumanizing racial discrimination as a violation of Shedeur Sanders' civil rights by one Kevin Stefanski. And he's forced to go to a workplace that's toxic every day. The EEOC ought to be standing on the doorstep of the Browns practice. The minions that the Browns have on social media are not enough to close our eyes to this young man's discrimination. And if you think black people don't stick together, that's your damn problem. Huntington Bank and Bud Light needs to divest from the Cleveland Browns behind the unethical treatment and the racial discrimination against Shedeur Sanders by Kevin Stefanski immediately.
And knowing Shedeur as well as you got to know him, do you feel like, he'll kind of be able to overcome or bounce back the adversity of what happened this draft weekend and kind of get his head back on and march forward?
Like, I think all of our guys, I think every player, when they come into the draft, knows what number they were picked or if they were unpicked, and you can use that as motivation. We don't care once they walk in the doors. Don't care, first round pick, seventh round pick, undrafted. Once you're here and you're on our football team, you're a part of this culture, you're a part of this family.
Now, do they treat Shedeur like he's part of their family? And when he says you're a part of this culture, a toxic culture? Mary Cabot started off by saying how well you know Shedeur. Do you know how much of a betrayal it is? The fact that Kevin Stefanski told this young man, God works and moves in mysterious ways after he was drafted 144. And then to include him in a contest as if it truly did matter where he was drafted, but to ignore the results that he won every time. To dismiss him, to ignore him. To make him try to feel and believe that he's less than and isn't worthy enough to hold the position, the most important position on the team of quarterback. This is betrayal in your face. And it has to have hurt Shedeur to be treated the way he was in the draft. And as Mary Cabot said, to try to bounce back from that discrimination, even though she called it adversity, it's discrimination. And then to come over and to think you're amongst people that respect you as a human being, only to be dehumanized, to be sanctioned just for breathing, exhaling, inhaling, because they truly don't like the color of your skin, because they've never had a first round Black franchise QB and they don't want one, because they would rather lose in 2024 and in 2025 than to have a Black franchise QB lead this team long term. And it should be investigated. If in the same manner Shedeur Sanders was set up to fail in that Rams preseason game, if Deshaun Watson was set up to be injured so an insurance company could pay his $46 million salary instead of the Browns. And is that why Kevin Stefanski turned his headset over? Because his job was done. Because not 48 hours ago, or maybe Friday of last week, Haslam said that Stefanski has done a good job for us. Stefanski has a sub 500 record, is a horrible coach. Other coaches are calling him out. He should have never been coach of the year. So what is he good at exactly, other than from where I sit? Is he potentially good at being blatantly racist, something most people are not willing to be without a goddamn sheet over their head? So is that the good work that he does? Puts Deshaun Watson in harmful situations, puts Shedeur Sanders in harmful situations to disrupt and destroy their careers, because it damn sure ain't winning on the field. It's damn sure not good decision with personnel. It's damn sure not being good and transparent as a leader of a franchise. He is good at creating a toxic environment, because you can see it from here. This is a civil rights violation. I said CPS, which is Children's Protective Services, but goddamn it, Adult Protective Services. I don't think it's a coincidence the NFL Players Association is on the back of a damn milk carton right now. Rendered ineffective, so they can't come to the aid of Shedeur Sanders, which is what their job is. Browns fans need to turn the TV off. As long as Kevin Stefanski has a job. That's the only thing they're going to understand. They don't even care if you show up in person or not. Turn the TV off. That's what they care about. The $400 million check for TV rights, revenue, streaming, etc. Turn the TV off. This is unethical. Too many people like to say, why should I be responsible for racism that happened when I wasn't alive? Well, you watching it happen right before your eyes on one of the biggest platforms in the world, the NFL, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, starting with the pre-draft process, the draft itself, and now in Cleveland. And why would nobody do anything about it? The sponsors ought to be the first ones, including Nike, Shedeur Sanders sponsors. So I'm going to play this one more time, and you're going to hear how familiar they are with Shedeur. Notice you haven't seen Andrew Berry, nor have you seen their new Black limited partner. Their melanin is just used so you won't think they're racist.
And knowing Shedeur as well as you got to know him, do you feel like, he'll kind of be able...
Knowing Shedeur as well as you've gotten to know him, which means they know him because they pre-draft with him extensively, and the Browns need to be forced to explain why it is you were going to draft him at number 2 overall for over $40 million, and why it is you act like he doesn't have elite QB1 skill set. Explain that. Explain it. Because there's no way 2 weeks before the draft, he lost his elite QB1 skill set. And when we saw it again at rookie minicamp, when we saw it again at mandatory camp, when we saw it again at training camp, when we saw it again for the Panthers game, why do the Browns pretend like they are not familiar with Shedeur Sanders' promising elite QB1 franchise quarterback skill set? That is fraud. I will say it again. Everything happening with Shedeur and the Browns organization is unethical, a violation of his civil rights, and Bud Light, goddammit, and Huntington Bank need to be the first to divest. Then that goddamn grocery store over there, as well as the people that do lawn service. The Brown sponsors need to divest immediately. This is highly unethical. These people are 100% familiar with Shedeur and have said out of their own mouths, especially Kevin Stefanski, God works in mysterious ways. But then when he gets to Cleveland, it's a bait and switch. We don't know you. We didn't evaluate you for 2 years. Even though we were going to offer you $46 or number 2 overall pick money. When you land in Cleveland, we're going to treat you like you graduated from a JUCO, like you are undrafted free agent. And we're going to put an undrafted free agent in front of you, and we even willing to lose just so long as you don't get the opportunity. There's no justification for Kevin Stefanski dehumanizing Shedeur Sanders. All right, so we get ready to look at this video so y'all can see it for yourself, what Bucky had posted, because it says a lot that he posted it. It believe me that it says a lot that he posted it. Hold on 1 second. This is it right here. Make my screen a little larger. This came from Well Off Forever Instagram. That's just kind of crazy, right? Like that just tells you to me that they fed up. I just feel like they're saying, hey, we are fed up with the foolishness of the way Shadeur is being treated. So somebody took AI, Kevin Stefanski's face on it, and it says Kevin Stefanski when he's asked to play Shadeur, I'd rather die. Over here to the right, you see a comment. It said the crazy thing is that the NFL is allowing all of this to happen. It said this is clearly discrimination in the workplace and malpractice. Thing. And I'm just not seeing this comment for the first time. It said these people need to be investigated. The Sanders family need to start talking. This is ridiculous. We are not in slavery anymore. It said we are not in slavery anymore. Shadeur, it's time to shut the NFL down for this mess, or things will never change for the next Black QB like you. Shedeur Sanders deserves better. Right. So this talk is coming out today, I would say toward the end of the day, right? What were the minions that were put out there designed to write these blogs to force them to the internet? So when you look up AI, it gives you their perspective of what Shadeur is. They're trying to force the narrative, right? That Shadeur did this to himself. There's nothing Shadeur can do that would justify or provoke or should be allowed for Kevin Stefanski to dehumanize Shedeur Sanders. Nothing. There's nothing at all. There's no justification for it. I don't care if he mad that Shedeur called his own plays and Pat Schumer was the OC, and that's why Pat Schumer compared Shedeur to Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones was sorry for 6 years and had an opportunity that most Black quarterbacks who don't do well would never do. Get 6 years to get it right. Pre-FUBAR. So they know this young man. It seems like they participated in bait and switch. That needs to be investigated because that is fraud. Hell, adult protective service should roll up there because they are abusing him publicly. I saw that comment for the first time. They feel like Black people don't stick together. Show them that they're wrong. Yes, Huntington Bank and Bud Light should divest. But does that mean if they don't, that we should sit by quietly while they abuse this young man and dehumanize it? And like the other commenter said, the NFL is allowing it. The same NFL that gave out his phone number, the same NFL that took him off the draft board. If they didn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, then they shouldn't have drafted him. They shouldn't have used him for clicks. They shouldn't have exploited him. They should have just told him, we're not going to make you a part of our draft process. Then he could have went on and do his own thing. But they wanted to control that too. See, they want to control what he does when he leaves the league. This is worse than any mafia-backed gambling scandal. Because nobody's forcing you to do it. So let me see what y'all are saying. Hey, Black Diamond, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It said Browns coaches are connected by ages. It don't matter. That's cool, but who cares? It don't matter. I don't care about none of that. I don't care. I mean, we already know that what? We know that Kevin Stefanski used to work for Pat Schumer. There's a connection. So it doesn't matter if Dan Lanning and Kevin Stefanski have the same agent. That's on Haslam. If he want to waste money on an undrafted free agent that they knew was sorry. But the only reason he would likely agree to it is because they needed a plan for how to devalue Shedeur after they got him for a discount and hold him back on the bench. The problem is Kevin Stefanski is taking pleasure in the criminality. because that's what it is. Discrimination, racial discrimination is illegal. So is collusion. So is abuse. So is trying to intimidate people. This is racketeering. I've also said that multiple times. Now we're saying the biggest sponsors need to divest immediately. All brown sponsors need to divest immediately. The consensus is that Kevin Stefanski cannot be trusted with the health, welfare, and safety of Shedeur Sanders on or off the football field. He should be terminated immediately for violating this young man's civil rights, for dehumanizing him and trying to treat him like he's 3/5 of a human being. And he's not treating him that way because he knows Dan Lanning. He's not treating him that way because he knows Pat Schumer. He's treating him that way because he's racist. And he's hired to be a faithful servant of the Browns, which all but guarantees he has a hood and a sheet and white sheet in his car. So I don't give a damn about their relationships. They deceived Shedeur Sanders. They baited him in. They lured him practically. Shedeur Sanders was supposed to be the number 2 overall. He gets locked out of the first round, pushed down in the draft, and they say Baltimore called. Why would I want to go to Baltimore? Because they want to pit him against Lamar Jackson. So he goes to Cleveland. Why wouldn't I want to go to the team that was going to pay me $46 million? Because my thinking is, well, maybe these people just don't like me over here. But I know Kevin Stefanski likes me because he even said after I got drafted, God works in mysterious ways. But Kevin Stefanski decided to turn into Lucifer like that. Bait and switch, lured. With the purpose of getting him for a deep discount to humiliate him because they know he's talent. And they want to antagonize him by burying him on the bench so he can't play because they know how much he wanted to be in the NFL. This is abuse. Plain and simple. The new stadium is in a Sundown town. Haslam wants a white quarterback to be the face of the team. That's fine. You ain't got to draft Shedeur. But you can't say Shedeur is not a franchise QB who you were going to pay $46 million to as the number 2 overall pick in 2025 just because you want to wait on a white quarterback. Have the courage and the guts to say you want to wait on a white quarterback. Tell us you're racist. Don't hide behind it. You showing us. You feel like we can't see what's happening or we're not going to say anything about it. False and false. Just say you don't want a black franchise quarterback instead of intentionally devaluing this young man. And if the NFL could say through its insiders, the NFL doesn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now, then Shedeur Sanders should have never been invited to the combine because you knew that before the combine. So the NFL is guilty. And like the other commenter said, the NFL is allowing this. Stefanski is taking pleasure, and that's dangerous. Because if Shedeur get hurt, why don't they just trade him? Right. Why are you holding him hostage? Because you don't want to admit you wasn't going to draft him. Because you don't want him to be effective in the league. There's nowhere to hide. There's no justification for the NFL drafting Shedeur after sending people out to say we don't want players like Shedeur Sanders now. They meant black quarterbacks because they at the max capacity of half and half black starters, half and half white starters. And they don't want Shedeur, who was number 17, to Cleveland, who was seemingly lured there through the pre-draft process with the intent to always devalue, bait, and switch with a false story so they could avoid 17, and they did. They just benched Spencer Rattler for Tyler Shaw after Tyler Shaw failed. Spencer Rattler doesn't get the opportunity. So if we're going to fail, let's just fail with a white quarterback. This is 100 times worse than a gambling scandal. Because the NFL is allowing blatant racial discrimination of a player they say they didn't want, which means you lured him to humiliate him because you didn't want him and you wanted to control what he did. So you brought him in instead of letting him go freely, live his life, and elevate elsewhere. Because the point of it was to suffocate the success he already has. I watched Shiloh. People gravitated towards him at Complex Con? Shiloh already has, just like what Shedeur has. They already have the celebrity. They don't need the NFL. And nobody needs, deserves, or wants to be discriminated against. Shedeur's being manipulated. Well, we saved you, didn't we? I mean, you was falling real low. So we saved you. Doesn't God work in mysterious ways? But then they abuse him. Kevin Stefanski is allowed to abuse Shedeur. The owner is allowed. They want him. So it's like they brought him in to take him away from another opportunity that he could go on to, so they could abuse and destroy him. You know how evil that is? That's just as evil as feeding black babies to alligators, which is documented. It's also just as evil as scalping black people, taking their hair off their scalp and stuffing it into your cushions. Something else that is already documented. This is the type of disdain that Kevin Stefanski has for Shedeur, that he would set him up to be hurt in that Rams game. But before he told you about it through his dog whistle, we're going to have to put him down. Now he want to turn over the headset once again. Has he done enough damage to destroy Shedeur's career? Because he does not have any stats. He don't want to be personally responsible for Shedeur being set up to fail through the last 4 games. Or maybe they just not going to matter, like the Panthers game doesn't matter. The minions only want to talk about the Rams game when they know he was set up. They knew what Kevin Stefanski meant when he said, we're going to have to put him down, dehumanizing him. This is not about Dan Lanning. This is not about Pat Schumer. This is about racism. This is about a white man's disdain for a black man, and he'd rather lean and push stereotypes about Shedeur not being worthy. We have standards. We have high standards that Shedeur can't meet to be the quarterback, which is the most important position on the team. It said the Haslam's don't want to see a bunch of black fans cheering for Shedeur in the stands. Right, because why? Because we're going to hold them accountable. We're going to hold them accountable. So they don't want us there, because the more of us there, the more of us to have these conversations, which is why they want to say, oh, they're not Browns fans, because we didn't come in quietly, and we will not sit by quietly while they openly racially discriminate against Shedeur, abuse him, and set him up to be hurt physically like Deshaun Watson, so the insurance company can pay his salary, so they can destroy his career, which is nothing but retaliation, because they had to pay him $230 million. After he asked for a trade. Again, these scandals that the NFL has is 10 times worse than any gambling scandal the NBA has. Because they could get rid of 3 people, two, and maybe that goes away, but not this. There are channels out there dedicated to telling you about NFL scandals. Sean Payton should not be working for the Denver Broncos after Bountygate, paying for players to physically get hurt. How do we know Stefanski is not incentivized to pay players to physically hurt Shedeur? How do we know that Stefanski didn't pay to incentivize to physically hurt Deshaun Watson? Because he turned over his headset after that. Why? You knew he wasn't good. It's not like he's had 5 stellar seasons. No, that's never been the case. All he does is run off of talent because he's not a good coach. He needs a game manager. He needs an undrafted free agent. Overpay him to make him think he good, so I can turn you to a game manager because this is the most I can coach. Shedeur would expose Stefanski because Shedeur is good And they know Coach Prime would probably be like, excuse me, what kind of coaching is happening here? Rumor has it that the Jets wanted to trade for Shedeur, but the Browns is asking for a second round draft pick. It said the Browns know the value of Shedeur, yet they play low skill Dylan. They do know the value of Shedeur, and I did look into that rumor, and it was just that, a rumor. Now, how can they ask for a second round draft pick when he has no stats? They know he has no stats. But do you see anybody coming to rescue Shedeur like they were trying to rescue Bryce Young from the Panthers? Calling the Panthers stupid for trying to bench their Heisman winner first overall pick in Bryce Young. You don't hear nobody saying anything to rescue Shedeur from the open and blatant discrimination that we see, let alone his skill set. Shout out to Troy Aikman. Shame on Tom Brady. Whether you didn't draft him, you don't have to sit by quietly and watch him be abused this way, dehumanized this way, lied about his talent. I don't give a damn why you didn't draft him. You knew he was talented because you trained him. They don't call him a little Tom Brady for nothing. But you see, they coaxed him into silence too. Maybe that's where his Raiders limited partnership comes in at. They bought his silence. Guys love saying Stefanski's time will come. This is not about that. This is about protecting Shedeur Sanders. This ain't about Stefanski. This is about protecting Shedeur Sanders. This is about if he is going to be on this team, if he does not get traded, and I don't know how he can with zero stats. I don't even know how Dylan could actually be QB1 with Shedeur right there, when Dylan has a 25 QBR rating. Nor does it make sense that Haslam would allow his team to be trashed this way. So for the people saying Stefanski is following orders, there is no excuse. Absolutely no excuse. I don't know why the black Cleveland fans wouldn't boycott the teams. The white Cleveland fans need to boycott the teams too. It's enough white fans out there that don't like what's going on. They need to turn the TV off. They need to stay home as well. This is gross. What do you teach your kids who like Shedeur? How do you explain to your kids he's not playing, but Dylan is allowed to lose? What you gonna do? Lie to your kids? When you lie to your kids, you teach your kids to lie. Good luck to you. Haslam is willing to look away, right? And that needs to be dealt with. That's where divestiture comes in with Huntington Bank and Bud Light. That's how you get to that. I really wonder how Johnny Unitas would feel about the recipient of his award not being ready for the NFL, right? Which means they totally lying on the kid, right? They totally lying on the kid. They got people out here putting out stories to lie as if we can't see. Like if they flood the internet with all of these blogs that Shedeur brought this on himself. Now they blaming Myles Garrett. He can't stand up and say he frustrated because he signed his contract instead of holding the Browns accountable. The Browns deserve to perish. Period. After Shedeur set free, they just deserve to perish. That's it. Because there's no good there. You have fans who would rather justify losing and being a sorry franchise, just as long as they do quid pro quo, allegedly, than actually put together a winning team to win. That they would rather Shedeur Sanders fans who they think are all black, and they are sadly mistaken, should stay away so we don't hold them accountable. So the fans are problematic. So Myles Garrett is problematic. Shedeur Sanders is problematic. Tony Brown is problematic. Jerry Jeudy is problematic. Everybody that is asking for accountability is problematic. You know, I'm the kind of person, just give these people what they want. They want to take this league and destroy it, let them. They want it to be mediocre, let them. Go start your own. So if you're just not joining us, right before I went live, about 40 minutes before I went live, it was posted. Once again, Kevin Stefanski is considering giving up play calling to Tommy Reese, amongst some other changes. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. As poor of a coach as Kevin Stefanski is, I don't even know why he has decision-making ability or a job. There's nothing there that supports him still being employed with the Browns. He had the same record as Callahan that was fired from Tennessee. And then he went on to lose again. And they're going to let him make a decision on who's calling the plays? Again, Haslam said, I think late last Friday, that Stefanski has done good work for us. It must be the discrimination that's the good work, because that's all that's coming of his time in Cleveland. Like a hired henchman. Hey, Ben Scott, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah. So we know the trade deadline is what, next Tuesday? Yep, the week from tomorrow. The 28th is tomorrow. The trade deadline is next Tuesday. The Browns are coincidentally on a bye week. They have no activity this week. The narratives that are being pushed are about Myles Garrett and why he shouldn't be upset. It's funny how they use the money as an excuse for Myles Garrett to not want the team to be a winning team. That should tell you what they expect after you get paid. Submission. That's what they expect. Why is Myles Garrett getting paid something he should think about before he holds the team accountable for choosing to lose? That's what he's supposed to do. He's the leader of the team. So you want to buy the leader of the team's silence. I actually believe one of the reasons they gave Myles Garrett all of that money, in addition to him being the leader of the team and they could control him, is because they knew they were bringing Shedeur in and they didn't want him to gravitate towards Shedeur. Because when he did gravitate towards Shedeur, what happened? We found out about his 8th speeding ticket. Retaliation seems to be the culture in Cleveland, as well as open and blatant racial discrimination. White players need to stop being silent about it. Black players need to speak up as well as white and black Browns fans. And once again, Huntington Bank and Bud Light need to divest from the Browns due to unethical workplace practices, including violations of Shedeur Sanders' civil rights. They could turn the tailgate into organized protest while they get there. Here's the thing. They never even have to leave their house. They never have to even leave their house. Turn the damn TV off. Go watch another game if it's that important. That's step number 1. 2, stay home. If you can cancel those tickets, cancel them. Sell them. The hell, do what the Packers fan did. Sell them to the opposing team. Sell them to the opposing team if you can't sell them to nobody else. Send a message. You will not tolerate the dehumanization and blatant or private racial discrimination against Shedeur Sanders. To dehumanize him, Kevin Stefanski should be fired immediately. He should have been fired already. And if nobody does anything about it, then yes, Huntington Bank and Bud Light need to divest immediately as well. Browns are tanking so they can keep building in the draft. Browns already have 2 number 1 picks. 2 first-round picks. They already have 2 first-round picks. They had 11 picks last year. People saying on X today, the Browns choosing Mason Graham with the number 5th pick was ridiculous. And it was. And can you guess why they chose him? Okay. Because the Browns want as many of their skilled players to be white. That's why. Who did they pick? Mason Graham and Carson Swessinger. When the season started, they even had their little minions pushing narratives that Shedeur doesn't play for the city, for the Browns, but Carson Swessinger does. How the hell they know who the hell Carson Swessinger playing for? Did they invite him over for tea and ask him? How they know who Shedeur playing for? Shedeur playing for a lot of people. They just looking for a reason to ostracize Shedeur, but they can't find a reason to trade him. So, like Nikki said, they actually trying to run him off and hold him hostage at the same time, which means draft to destroy. We made it to 286 people or something like that. So thank you. But I'm getting ready to, I guess, just hop in these comments and just keep going through and see what else I can find. It's just kind of really sad of this situation. You know, you have to ask yourself, what does the NFL want Shedeur to do? Do they just want him to quit? Do they just want him to quit and retire so it could be on him and not on them? So they keep abusing him. And the more he stays, the worse it gets. There has to be consequences for this. Whether it's anything I suggested or not, there will be. The way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. So the reason that they believe we are untouchable could flip like that. Dylan Gabriel said he's exactly what he said he was since April. Right. Dylan Gabriel hasn't changed. I don't even know how he made it at Oregon. I didn't watch their games. I have no idea how he made it at Oregon. I'm wondering if he was a quarterback that just handed off to the running back. Did their running back get drafted or is he still at school or what? Because he was bad when he got to Cleveland. He was bad through rookie OTAs. By the time they finished training camp, he was awful. He was awful. And for Haslam to say he hasn't seen enough of Dylan, I'm like, I don't know what you're looking for because he's just going to get worse. He's not going to magically turn into Shedeur Sanders overnight. It's not going to happen. And here's the thing. I'm not even sure they really want Dylan to be good. I think they just want Dylan to be a seat warmer for Arch Manning, who's supposed to be not coming out this year. So that means I got to roll with Dylan next year. And what am I going to do with my number 1 pick for this year? Trade it away to somebody who could get a quarterback, and then I make sure I have the number 1 pick in 2027. Yeah, I can see it. And that just might be Miami. But then they got Tua until 2027. So there you go. Maybe that's why Miami went ahead and donated that game. The NBA is not the only league that's rigged at all. The difference between the NBA and the NFL is the NFL is rife with scandal. That's just all over here, documented, and it just continues and continues, and it gets worse and worse, and they still at it, and they don't know when to stop. Pride comes before a great fall. Brace yourself. The NFL is having a breakdown because the public scrutiny, the entire NFL, that dirty laundry is exposed to the public. That's true. Part of it is true, which is why they keep sending people out, minions, as I call it, to push these narratives, right? They really trying to push a narrative that Myles Garrett is wrong. When you see with your own eyes what the problem is. That's why I say just turn the TV off, right? Just turn the TV off. There's no need to watch this type of malfeasance. It's just none. And what it does is it coaxes you into accepting mediocrity and racial discrimination. Because who gonna check me, boo? And y'all still paying for us to do it. That's how narcissists are. They're going to blame you. Well, the fans racist too, right? So when you walk around with their colors on or with their, I guess you could say their logo, what are you really cheering for? I've asked that question before. What are you really cheering for? It's not a good team. Kevin Stefanski is not a good coach. Haslam's not a good owner. The only thing coming out of that organization is civil rights violations, toxicity, intimidation, retaliation, abuse, dehumanization. That's it. It's like they set up shop with the sole purposes of coming to destroy Black men. That's it. And either overpay you if you're white to be quiet, or force you to submit if you paid if you Black. Or they intimidate you, I don't know. The fact that nobody asked about Tony Brown, who was one of the few people to show concern for Shedeur being retaliated against, tells you that it's too many people who helping to push this NFL cloud be as racist as it is. Shedeur can quit by playing. He can't just quit. He'd have to retire. He'd have to retire. And it's not just that he won't quit. Remember, Shedeur wasn't supposed to go drafted. Based on what you saw, he was going to fall all the way out the bottom, be an undrafted free agent, just like the person they brought in from Memphis. Can anybody explain why the hell they even brought in a quarterback to try out when they already have 4? To make Shedeur uncomfortable. To make Dylan uncomfortable. But Kevin Stefanski made sure we know Dylan was safe, so it wasn't about Dylan. Are they trying to punish Shedeur because he skipped up the field? Because we have high standards for this position. This young man is trying to cope with the type of racial discrimination you see in corporate America, where people lose their hair, lose their mind, lose their livelihood, lose their confidence, lose their dignity, filled with regret, shame for putting up with it too long, regret for not doing something about it sooner. Hey, how you doing, Pro Cuts Lawn Care? If you do lawns for the Browns, I'm gonna need you to find some more lawns. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It's about what high standards, right? They don't have no high standards. That's just what they say in the whole back Shedeur Sanders. Shame, bro. It's shameful. This gonna be a stain because it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. Shedeur Sanders came into the league with at least 4 million fans. It's not. Who could fill up more than 42 stadiums. There's only 32. It's not a coincidence. They tried to block him after they lured him in so he could come be embarrassed in Green Bay. Did that happen? No. Not a coincidence. Guy kicked the door in so Shedeur could get drafted. What's been happening since Shedeur been in Cleveland? Cleveland been exposed. And Cleveland can't even let Shedeur go. So at this point, they're exposing themselves. That is what I call stuck on stupid. Because they fear no consequence to abusing Shedeur, to violating his civil rights. They fear none. And they can't even cut him. Because they've tried 3 times. Shedeur, every time Shedeur puts out a thank you God statement, blah, 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 after a major milestone, because he don't know if he's going to come back. He don't know if he's going to come back. I see Shedeur trying to get along, trying to, don't worry about that, boo. Don't try to get along with people who disrespect you. You don't have to do that. Just be the person God called you to be. You don't have to be ugly towards them. You don't have to ignore them. If they talk to you, feel free to talk back. But you don't have to engage them to see if they're going to finally stop being racist, because they're not. In fact, they love that about you. Because you come into their web and it gives them an opportunity to treat you like they did James Byrd in Jasper, Texas. Dehumanize you, abuse you, destroy you. You don't have to do that. Just go to work every day, because if you're right, God opened that door. And he might get to the point where he's ready for God to close it before God actually closes it. Because what's also happening? The Browns are being exposed. And we've moved on from just Kevin Stefanski being the problem. More and more every day, Haslam is listed as the problem overall. And maybe that's where it needs to get to for things to actually change. That doesn't absolve Stefanski. It proves that Stefanski is vile for enjoying the abuse of Shedeur Sanders. Where we are now is seeing that Haslam is intentionally allowing it and covering for Kevin Stefanski so he can continue. That's a different conversation that warrants congressional hearings. And the NBA actually has a congressional hearing coming up. Might take the NFL a little longer, maybe. Because the way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. All right, so I'm gonna get myself out of here. Go through some more of y'all's comments before we wrap it up. Kiel said that's who they are. They're just like their grandparents 150 plus years removed. Yep. And I don't even think it's that long. He'd have to retire. But again, I think, honestly, Shedeur is growing in his faith. I do think this is a part of his journey. Why would you quit when you continue to see God opening the door that they keep trying to close? Shedeur wasn't even supposed to make the 53-man roster. Shedeur was not supposed to be on the team after the Panthers game. It was said that they should have traded him then. When you saw him throwing to the equipment managers, just like in the email the NFL sent out with the waiver wire attached that went out to the equipment managers, they were making fun that they were getting ready to cut Shedeur. They at a point where their feet stuck to the floor and all they could do is hold on to him and keep getting exposed, because we obviously haven't gotten the information that we're not aware of yet. And he gonna be there till we get it. This is karma. And Shedeur, I pray to God that God gives Shedeur what he needs to wait on God well. Meaning he enjoys the process from here on out, knowing that he's just waiting on God. Because when he does that, then God gonna swing that door wide open, and we gonna know everything we need to know, and he not gonna look back. And he gonna know exactly what to do next. It was something he probably have already said. Actually, he ain't Cam Ward. The way they both being battered should go ahead on and start that league they talked about. It wouldn't surprise me if they have those conversations often, right? They try to hate on Cam because he was asking why is his coach putting a field goal unit on at 4th and 1 or something like that. And he was like, he could do it. Basically the same thing that Peyton Manning did. So the guy that was saying, Cam this, Cam that, fussing at his coach. I said, excuse me, didn't Peyton Manning wave off the field goal unit when it was Tony Dungy? Then all right then. So today somebody put out an article that talked about how Cam Ward is a lot like Peyton Manning and he just wants to win. So maybe tomorrow or next week or next month or next year, we'll hear about the sponsors of the Browns divesting due to unethical practices. Because the way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. It said the years have changed, but their mindset remains the same. Right. And those kind of people will hurt you. Right. You don't play with people like that. Don't let them lure you no way. Don't eat their food. Don't let nobody invite you to their house, because that's what they're going to do next. They're going to be like, man, we can't break him. Well, you know what? Just invite him. No, don't go camping. Don't go skiing. Don't go over. Don't hang out. Don't date. None of that. Anybody, and be careful, anybody that pops up in your orbit, as long as you have to interact with them, because you don't know where they're coming from. Absolutely not. That's why I said this bye week comes at a good time for Shedeur, because why? I feel like this is guy holding Shedeur. It's been tough. Now you got a break. Then you could go back renewed and with clarity and understanding that you still there, even though they tried to get rid of you because of God's glory. So keep going back. That don't mean he gonna make it in the NFL. I don't think he needs it. I don't even know why you want to at this point. I'm gonna ask the next question. My question is, after the way these football players are seeing what's happening in the NFL, the racial discrimination, especially the black players, do y'all really still want to go to the NFL? And I think the answer is going to be yes, because of the money. But let's talk about former NFL players, right? That's why everybody tried to go and do what Coach Prime did, hop on the desk, because they didn't have a lot of opportunities. With all of the opportunities you have after college with NIL, because what you're supposed to be doing in college is working on your YouTube page. You got Bryce Underwood making $3 million a year, $12 million to stay at Michigan for 4 years. What you need the NFL for? If you know, if you can see what's documented on how they feel about black quarterbacks not becoming the majority of the starters because they do not believe that black quarterbacks meet such high standards to be the most important position on the team, which is quarterback. If you have 2 black parents, or if you are heavily melanated, it seems to be tougher on you. Even though that get trashed every day. And I want to bring this up. I saw a post flying around. Is the Dallas Cowboys finished with that? Should Joe Milton start? I will remind you that Joe Milton and Shedeur Sanders have late round contracts. Joe being the 6th round, Shedeur being the 5th round. I will remind you, the Dallas Cowboys play in Dallas, where Shedeur is from. I will remind you, there is one owner who could do what the hell he want to do, and that is Jerry Jones. I will remind you that money is the motivator. Getting Shedeur at a deep discount didn't matter to the Browns, because they don't want to win with a black quarterback as they franchise QB long term. That's obvious. They want to wait on a white quarterback. But Jerry Jones does not have a problem with winning with a $4 million deeply discounted franchise QB that he's very familiar with, named Shedeur Sanders. I could see Joe Milton being sent to Cleveland and then sent probably somewhere else, and I don't wish that for Joe Milton. But I'm saying, if they do make the switch, if Milton don't work out, Jerry still sees dollar signs. I'm just saying. There's going to be something. If it happened, I'll be like, I always said it's going to happen. I always said that, everybody knows in the NFL orbit, all of these people, they know Shedeur's good, number one. They know Shedeur's being colluded against, whether they talk about it or not. They know he's damn good, and he's discounted. His skill set is deeply discounted. They know they can win with him and get to the next level with a discounted quarterback. They all know that. They just waiting on the word go. And who you think that's going to come from? The commissioners or all 32 owners? Remember, 17 to 32 is still the priority to prevent 17 Black starting quarterbacks. So when you think they're going to lift that moratorium? This feels and looks a lot like a hit job on the entire Sanders family. I would agree with that, Elaine. I would agree with that for the reason that we said that the NFL wanted to smother the Sanders family football legacy in the NFL in favor of elevating the Mannings. I've said that. I have no problem with saying that. I've said that they already betrayed Coach Prime, right? Like basically told him, we won't fool with you like that. Because of what's at stake. The Sanders could come in, Shiloh Shedeur or Shedeur by himself, and then, you know, it would elevate the game because they're talented, but they're also popular. And the NFL can't control that popularity, nor do they want them to be the face of the league. They don't want that. So, with that being said, between not wanting the Sanders football legacy because I want the Mannings instead, I might never lift that moratorium. He might find himself waived and out of the league. Because I don't think they're going to ever change their mind about that. I don't know. There's nothing. I don't think that would make them gravitate toward the Sanders football legacy and Black faces of the NFL. I don't. They're doing too much by erasing Black offensive coordinators. There are zero. Denying Black quarterback coaches. There might be zero as well. Whittling down the number of Black head coaches. The Rooney Rule is over years old and they've only had 15 hires. So when you look at it from that perspective, we don't want a Black NFL Hall of Famers family legacy. Coach Prime is not the only Hall of Famer whose son basically got devalued. Jerry Rice's son, Terrell Owens' son, Frank Gore Jr.'s son. So here's the message. We don't want Black Hall of Famers, kids in the league en masse, becoming the face of the league because they're so uber talented. So they should go start their own. And that's why I think Shedeur has zero stats. It's not about whether they have a soft spot for him or not. It's because they like to say what comes with the Sanders. Dollar signs. You ain't got a problem with that. It's because he will be the talk of the league. They know that. That's what they don't want. It's the same reason why they don't want 17 Black starting quarterbacks. They don't want to see Black faces all over this league. They don't. They don't want to turn on the TV and see 2 Black quarterbacks face off every week. They don't. That's why they try to manipulate the MVP. Somebody put out their MVP list. They had Jalen Hurts third. They had Jalen Hurts third. They had Pat Mahomes first. And everybody else was white. I kid you not. Everybody else was white. I asked the guy who posted it. I said, real question. Are you biased against Black quarterbacks with 2 Black parents? Because why the hell is Pat Mahomes first when he was he's third in his division? Why is Jalen Hurts third? Because he got 2 Black parents? The allergies that this league has toward full Black people is obvious. Andrew Berry married to a white woman. I don't think they could stomach the fact of enriching the same situation that Cam Ward comes from, which is why they bearing down on Cam Ward, which is also the same situation Caleb Williams came from. 2 Black parents. Bryce Young, 2 Black parents. Justin Fields, possibly 2 black parents. If I had to guess, that's just the pattern that's out there. 2 Black parents. Shedeur Sanders, 2 Black parents. Lamar Jackson, 2 Black parents. Jordan Love, I don't know. Pat Mahomes, one black parent. See, people think it's about not having a black mother. No, it's about having one black parent. Which is why I say if you are heavily melanated in the NFL, it seems to be harder on you, especially if you're a quarterback, because the way they look at the quarterback position and the way we look at it, we're looking at talent and ability to win and impactfulness on the team and making sure the team stays with it when the game gets bad, like Shedeur does. That's not what they see. They see Caleb Williams is black versus Lamar Jackson or Huntley, who's black. That's what they see. Our league is dominated. Our league, there are no black owners in the NFL. The league is majority black. Ever. Somebody, the Jaguars, they're not white, but they're not black either. So we can't own the team. We can't lead the team. We can't be the majority of the GMs, if that's what it comes to. We can't coach the team. We can't coach the quarterbacks. I guess we could just be field hands on the field. So my question to these black players coming out of college, knowing what you know, if you see this video by accident, it was not an accident. It is not a coincidence. Knowing what you know, witnessing what you've witnessed about the NFL, whether it's Myles Garrett, Shedeur Sanders, Justin Jefferson, Colin Kaepernick, anybody. The racial discrimination that exists, they won't hire you from within. They won't promote you to leadership positions. They don't want you to lead the teams. When you hit the number 16 to 32, now they want to start whittling away at black quarterbacks. They want to change the position so you can go back to a pocket passer because the black quarterbacks are so athletic, they can meet the threshold and have elevated the numbers of dual threats. But then Shedeur got ostracized because he was a pocket passer, which meant they don't care if you're a pocket passer like Shedeur or if you're a dual threat like anybody, Lamar Jackson. We don't want no more black starting quarterbacks because we already got 16. Shedeur was going to be 17, and look at what we did to him. If his last name was not Sanders, they would have still done it because he would have been number 17. Look at how they treating Cam, who was number 16 in the draft. And is Milrose still over there? And he was number 18. And you still want to come into this league rather than start your own. At some point, people going to stop speaking up about it. I came back into this league with Shedeur. Once Shedeur gone, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Based on what I'm seeing at Colorado, I can't watch that. I mean, I'm still rooting for Coach Prime. I'm probably going to watch the game, but I can't sit up and start talking about who going to get drafted at this position. It's cringe. It's cringy. It's cringy because, hello, are you not paying attention to what's going on to all these black players in the NFL? How it's like the players are like, I just want to get in, get the money and leave. That's not even the case. And do they even let you do that? Normally, you don't even know who the hell you are when you leave. And they pushing them out in 2 years so they don't get the benefits in 3 or 4. But you still want to put your hand on the hot stove rather than start your own. If you'd have started your own 10 years ago, where would you be now? Streaming been out since 2009. I'm watching content creators get NFL players together and run out there and play football. Can't be scared forever. Y'all gonna wait until they put it together for you and then control you with it again. Shedeur's a young man who's on his path with God. That does not mean Jeremiah 29:11 is look the other way. That's not what that means. 29:11 is for Shedeur. Everybody else, we need to let God use us. And 9 times out of 10, that's your tweeting, you're posting, you're talking, you're speaking up, or what have you. It's not good enough to just quote scripture. Faith without works is dead. You actually have to do something. All right, so I guess I'm gonna get out of here, and I guess I'll be back tomorrow, 10:35 p.m. I'm getting ready to drop a Patreon video that I made before I went live over here. Trying to get regular over there. You just never know about these things. The way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. That's all I can say, right? I learned in grad school, when you stick your neck out, be prepared to get it cut off. So follow me on Patreon. Otherwise, I'll see y'all tomorrow over here at 10:35, and I'll connect with you on social media when I run into your posts. And thank y'all for tagging me about Shedeur on X. I appreciate it. And Tina, thank you for the email. I responded to you before this show. She sent me the link from like a game. So I did respond to you, Tina. And don't forget, go shopping at whatshesaidsports.com and use my code NOLAGIRL at checkout. All right, I'll see y'all later. Thanks, everybody, for watching What She Said Sports. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Be sure to join our daily live stream and listen up to What She Said Sports on the go on Spotify. Thank you for watching What She Said Sports. Stay for another video.